Welcome to Frequently Speaking. This is your host, Maxwellness. Now, here on this podcast, we're going to start to break down words that we speak outwardly and how their vibrations create what we frequently see. Now, in today's episode, we're going to delve into Facets of Physicality. Welcome. Thank you guys for tuning in today on this beautiful, lovely, fantastic morning. So today we're going to speak about facets of physicality. And this piece is one that I really enjoy because it really connects us to the body. And what we're going to be speaking about today is if you've ever felt a connection to your physicality, your physical body, whether they be emotions, whether they be your muscles, whether they be your energy, your environment, however you connect to that physical body, we're going to start to describe ways of how we can regulate the nervous system and also how we can increase sensitivity. Now, just me as being the masculine guy that I am, sensitivity is really a thing that, I speak about with a lot of my male friends, and it's something that has this preconceived notion whether you need to be a little bit softer, a little bit more in tune, a little bit more flowy, and sometimes I just really don't agree with that. For me, it's quite the opposite. It's really bringing the activity to your senses. And I think just in a masculine perspective, that's where this has brought me. And for me, I made that connection through exercise. So intuitively just leaning into this exercise and this gift that was really given, I really just birthed how can we start to connect to our body in it, but also understanding it on all those different levels, because there's so many languages being spoken at all of these different levels. And this is what I'm looking to create a correlation and connection to, so that we can look at our facets of physicality and polish them how we need. So the value that I want to bring to this is really that the connection to the body is key. To bring mind-body coherence, we need a solid communication with them both. But what language does your body even speak, though? We're going to be able to find out what the facet of your physicality is by looking a little bit deeper into this. So I start with the question of, what is physical to you? Working out is exactly that. We're putting work outward into our external environment. Now, exercise can be a manipulation of matter in various forms, because this is where your physical apparatus, your body, operates. And we're all at these different views and levels of our physicality and how it's outwardly expressed. Whether we're just doing Pilates, whether we're practicing asana, whether we're CrossFitting, boxing, martial arts, whatever it may be, we all have these different facets of how we express outwardly. So within my personal training career, one thing I'm really adamant about, besides heavy emphasis on breath work, is the approach to observing what we are working into our body and not what we're working out. I believe that shifting in this mindset in the beginning creates a connection within the central nervous system to the mind-body coherence, so that it can become more receptive of this intentional why. When we take this position, and this is something that I've done for myself, but I found it really helpful and really effective to translate to my clients as well, is that just this simple shift as to working out, right? And this is what frequently speaking is always about, is the power behind our words and what that intention is. Because if we're going into the gym or if we're going outside, we're trying to work out something. What is in us that we're subconsciously saying to our body that needs to be put out? So this shift in working into our body is giving a little bit more intention of what this vitality, something that we're igniting and activating and polishing into this facet. So really looking into a clearer reflection as to why we're doing this movement. Now, after that why is established, right, there's also the aspect of working in, as we do with our directional intent, as we are utilizing the concept of our physicality towards a specific goal. So when we have these goals that we want to set, whether we intend to grow bigger arms, butts, a flatter stomach, which is why we start to see these superficial results. But what about the deeper set intentions where our subconscious operates? We speak to ourselves on either a superficial or a more profound level. So this is what I mean about directional intent. Where's your intent actually directed towards or directed from? Is it coming from that superficial sense of saying like, oh, I just want to get these bigger arms? Or is it coming from that more profound sense of, I want to feel stronger in my upper body? So this subconscious reprogramming that I like to do with this approach is the positive position that we can assume when we're focusing on good habits, traits, and values. We're sticking to it in that moment of physical exercise. So in seeing others express their physicality in all these forms, there can be an inspiring effect, just to say the least. Be somebody that's in that position, that's doing it from that passion, doing it from that deeper, more profound state, you start to get in spirit, because that's what it really is. And you can tell from when somebody is working on that more superficial level, So watching a pianist play, watching a fire dancer spin fire on the beach, and even witnessing a baby exploring their capabilities of standing and holding things can be these moments of those profound intentions that bring us into full spirit. So the physical body has all these different facets that we all have to explore, and this is what connects us in our higher bodies. Whether it be within art, business, exploration, fitness, and even human connection, there's a facet of yourself that is to be polished and examined for its internal connection to physicality when expressed. The portions of ourself that connect to that connect and reflect from what our subconscious signals us to feel. So when we have these higher bodies that we think of, right, and we want to follow our higher self and exercise our intuition, how does that actually get expressed into the physical body? So when we're expressing that, this is a reflection of our subconscious. So if our subconscious isn't organized in this way, or that facet isn't necessarily polished, then that light or that communication or that information or that intent, whatever it may be, won't be able to come through clearly into that physical body to be expressed. So this is where these not necessarily cognitive, but it does start in the subconscious practices that we'll definitely talk about in the end. But there's also practice of this physicality that we bring into our exercise or our movement or the things that we do into this physical body. Because I believe that it all functions from that subconscious and those higher bodies. So once we can actually clear that up, polish those facets, we can come to really gain a better and deeper understanding of what it is that we actually truly want to be fulfilled by. So once this is established within, we're able to discern which facet that we're most fulfilled by when we're outwardly expressing this physical energy. Like, does your six-pack in the mirror create more encouragement within you than when somebody actually tells you that you seem more confident in your actions? These are some important questions that I always ask clients, when we are starting something in a fitness journey. But this is where the manipulation of matter or energy is determined, as well as displayed on this full screen of our physically perceived reality. Now, whether it's a shredded set of abs or a successful business or our meticulous designer outfits, it's all reflections from some facet of us into the physical. So, another question I have for you is, on what level do you view your physical expression? To get a bit deeper, we can look into the dimensions of our physical body and the layers that make it up and how they're interacting with each other. So, physicality is not always meant for the stress of the biological body. There's a few other components. There's also the energetic body, and there's also the environmental physical expression of how you can utilize that manipulation as well. So the way I break it down, also in the book that I am writing, The Human Being, in this physical plane, you have these three aspects or three facets: the biological, the energetic, and the environmental. And we're going to discuss a little bit about this just in the physical, in this piece. But if you would like a little bit more information on those other bodies, then feel free to reach out to me. But coming back to the physical. This just means that keeping a physically polished view of this side of the gem of physicality is in the inner standing of where we choose to view from. Everything on the external is viewed from as on the internal. This is why I use the word inner standing, because we're not understanding anything. That's remaining like in the unconscious. So how we interact actually with this physical dimension on an energetic level is to connect to these things, because it's all connected to you at some level. We just need to discern where it comes from. So all of these levels make up the myriad of beautiful life that we get to experience in the physical world. How we respond to our environment, also how we treat our physical body. The ways in which we maintain and express our energy are all ways that we express through the physical body in the physical plane. So, another question. What angles will you hit to get that perfect picture that you're watching that create stimulation within you at the deepest layers of your soul? It's all a representation of yourself in some form, or your reputation. To ground this a bit, though, I want to encourage these questions to see just what level that you're viewing your physical self from. The whys in which we do things shape the how things are represented. Quality is in the details. If how we are viewing ourself is of only the biological or our environment, then these other facets are left to become cloudy and distorted. I remember being in the early years of my wellness journey, right? And self-educating on nutrition, calisthenics, and weight training. This is when I was overweight myself, and I was struggling with eating habits, drinking habits, partying habits, sleep habits, all of these things, just general wellness and my lifestyle. I always had this sense of a profound connection as to why these things were working for me and how they were worked on my body. But on the outside, though, I would repeat it so much and do it to the best that I could to see the highest effects possible. So what I ultimately did was I leveraged that into my career, into the wellness journey. The excessiveness that I had, I saw that as drive. The power to keep going no matter what. I took that optimism and saw the positive effects of, self-education and weight training. So it almost became like this shifting of narrative, but leveraging what I was normally used to doing and bringing that into something good. So I had this silent motto, which was to motivate like my clients by seeing me at that level, right? I was going crazy. I was, wilding in the gym, and I was just like that level of character in me started to become that reputation. So what people would think of me. And in that shape of me at that level, it's to say to themselves, if this is what the gold looks like, then I'm okay with the silver or bronze for myself. And then it would be my job to get them to see how that is actually their standard for gold. Me and my practice just became a physical catalyst, right? It was like to get them to push a little bit further than they could see within their potential. Now, this is just a motto, this is just an affirmation, but taking a page from the finest jeweler's book and focusing on the color, cut, and clarity, we can start to view this physical presence in this way by expanding the ways in which we interact with our physicality. So color being the vibrancy of your energetic imagination, cut being the angle in which we approach things in our environment to determine our precise discernment in life, and clarity being the polishing that's done from the knowledge that we receive within our physical body that we're able to transform into actual wisdom. And again, this is the same process that I went through. Just breaking it down here in a sense of as we're polishing these facets and this gem that we are, these are some approaches that we can take. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about this as we go through this cognitive practice. But to wrap up here, I want to bring around this level of awareness to these bodies, because even though we're aware of these things, how do we actually exercise it? So becoming aware of our deeper connections to our surrounding environment, energy of things around us, and also biological ingestion of the ways that these things fill and empty us. They begin to create relationships that we have with them. So on this environmental level, like what are the things that we're bringing in our environment, the things that we watch, the things that we see, the people we hang out with, the places we go, all of these things. The biological ingestion, what are we putting into our body? How do we feel about it? What is the cadence? Are we taking a breath? Are we taking a second? Are we just eating bullshit just because, and we're eating cheap? So that's the subconscious signal you're sending to your body, is that I'm cheap. And also on the energetic level, what is the energy around us? Are you around really rushy people? Are you around people that consume a lot? Are you around people that are like, angry? These are the energy systems that start to become around our physical body that enact on us. So becoming aware of them begins to deepen your connection with them, just on a physical level, but also neurologically as well, because that's a part of the biological body. So when we solely witness our physicality from a biological position, then it becomes that logical. Only witnessing yourself from a polished facet of how your body or car or house looks starts to create a closed perspective of physicality. Whether it be out or in, the concept of how we view physicality of our perceived life experience can be shifted, molded, and expressed as we so choose, to allow our light to dance in the balance of each facet and reflect like fingers forming shadow puppets on the surface of this world. So I want to close this out by asking you one last question. When you envision physical activity for yourself, which facet are you focusing from? So, the cognitive practice here for facets of physicality. I want you to sit in a quiet place, preferably in the morning, and place your left hand cupped over your left ear and your right fingertips on something near you, maybe a table, a book, a mug, or a plant. Begin to bring your awareness to the sense of your hearing cut in half, echoed on the left and expanded on the right. As you breathe, listen to the breath on the echoed space of your hand and feel the vibrations within your hand. What is the texture? And I encourage you to specifically place it. Try to be as specific as you can about this texture. Maybe it's like an ocean, deep and warm, like being under a blanket. Be clear. Next, shift your awareness to your fingertips that are on the object. What is its energy? Is it cold and absent, full and alive? Is it light and vibrant? Again, be specific. Now, compare the two sides of your receptivity within your environments. How are you receiving the internal senses of the body and the external energy of the environment? Which feel most descriptive or connected to you? Which feel more distant? How can you improve or become more active with your senses to them both? Take these questions and bring them into your meditation. Take a couple minutes, at least 15, and sit with this and allow these questions to just mull over your mind and allow your feelings to come in so you can start to exercise this language of receptivity and polish your facets of physicality. If you like this episode and would like to explore more perspectives like this with me as we get a bit more intimate and intricate look into our internal vibrations, be sure to tune in to next week's episode and subscribe for more. Until then, keep frequently speaking what you frequently see.